He believed he was delivering justice. When Judge Harold Mercer raised his gavel that summer morning, he thought he was protecting his city, doing what was right. But years later, one forgotten piece of evidence would crawl back from the dark and expose a lie so deep it would tear apart everything he'd ever stood for. This isn't just the story of a wrongful conviction. It's the story of a man who trusted a system until it betrayed him. A story of a young man's stolen years and a judge's awakening to the rot beneath his own courtroom. Because sometimes, the biggest crimes aren't committed by criminals. They're hidden behind the word justice. Before we dive in, hit that like button and subscribe so more stories like this reach people who need to hear them. The courtroom in Sandoria County was overflowing that day. Reporters filled every seat. Families clutched each other's hands. The air was thick, not just with summer heat but with expectation. At the center of it all sat Judge Mercer, 61 years old, a lifetime on the bench, known for his sharp suits, sharper words, and a reputation that could silence a room. He'd built his name on discipline, never mercy. To him, guilt was a fact proven by evidence, not emotion. And today, that evidence was about to end a young man's life. Ethan, 23, stood at the defense table, trembling hands, steady eyes. He was a mechanic, a quiet kid from the wrong side of town, convicted of an armed robbery that left a store clerk fighting for his life. He had sworn he wasn't there, sworn he'd been working that night, but no one believed him. The prosecutor called him calculated. The witnesses swore they'd seen him. The fingerprints sealed his fate. Judge Mercer cleared his throat, his voice heavy with authority. "Ethan," he said, "you have shown no remorse. Your crime was deliberate and unforgivable." Ethan didn't speak. He only turned his head, searching the gallery for his mother. When he found her, tears streamed silently down her face. The gavel struck once. 60 years in state prison. The sound echoed through the hall like a verdict on his soul. The reporters scribbled. The crowd exhaled. And Ethan Cole, a man who had never owned a gun, was led away in chains. That night, Judge Mercer sat alone in his chambers, staring into a cup of black coffee. He told himself justice had been served. But deep down, a faint voice whispered, "What if it hadn't?" Weeks turned into months, and Ethan's name faded from the headlines, but not from Judge Mercer's mind. Something about the case never sat right. The fingerprints, the eyewitnesses, the anonymous tip, it all felt too clean, too convenient. One late evening, buried in a stack of unrelated case files, Mercer's eyes caught a note. A simple evidence log from a minor burglary in the same city. A gun was listed, matching the one supposedly used in Ethan's robbery, but the problem was glaring. That gun had never been mentioned at Ethan's trial. Never examined, never shown. How could it possibly be in police custody if it had been used at the scene? Mercer's pulse quickened. He pulled every file, cross-referenced dates, statements, and serial numbers. The more he dug, the stranger it became. The anonymous tip that had led to Ethan's arrest? It hadn't come from a concerned citizen. It came from a burner phone traced to Detective Lucas Ward, the same officer who had testified against Ethan in court. Mercer felt the walls close in. A chilling realization formed. Ethan Cole might be innocent. He had been set up. He couldn't investigate alone. So he reached out to Daniel Harper, a retired investigator known for uncovering corruption. Together, they dug deeper, combing through witness statements, evidence logs, and internal police memos. They found it all: altered testimonies, missing evidence, falsified reports. One clerk, initially naming another suspect, had been pressured into identifying Ethan. The revelation hit Mercer like a punch. A detective sworn to protect the law had manipulated witnesses, concealed evidence, and orchestrated a conviction. They found more: deleted emails from Ward to the district attorney, detailing plans to ensure Ethan's conviction. It was systematic, calculated, cold. Mercer felt a storm of anger, guilt, and disbelief. He had sentenced a young man to 60 years, a man who hadn't done this. The system he had trusted, devoted his life to, had betrayed him. But now came the hardest choice: expose the truth and risk his career, his reputation, even his safety, or stay silent and let Ethan's life remain stolen. Mercer didn't hesitate. He filed a motion to reopen Ethan's case, attaching the evidence of Ward's corruption. The courthouse trembled with the fallout. Headlines screamed of police misconduct. Mercer received threats. The courtroom was packed again, but this time the air was different. Tension crackled like static. Reporters, activists, and Ethan's family filled every seat. The young man, thinner and hardened by months behind bars, sat quietly at the defense table, eyes unwavering. Judge Mercer stood, calm but resolute. He gestured toward a screen as the evidence rolled. The security footage played, a man leaving the jewelry store with a duffel bag. His build, his gait, even the jacket he wore, it was Detective Lucas Ward himself. Gasps erupted. Cameras flashed. Ward's face went pale. His lawyer floundered. Mercer's voice rang clear, cutting through the murmurs. This is the man who led the investigation against Ethan Cole. He manipulated evidence, coerced witnesses, and orchestrated a conviction. Ethan was innocent. He was set up. Whispers turned into cries of disbelief. Ward, now handcuffed, hissed threats under his breath, but no one listened. The truth had seized the room. Outside the gallery, chaos and applause mixed. The local media scrambled to report every detail. Justice, once buried under lies and manipulation, had finally emerged. Mercer felt the weight lift slightly, but he also knew the cost. He had risked everything, his career, his safety, his reputation, to reveal the corruption. Yet watching Ethan rise from the chair, a free man, he understood the choice had been inevitable. In that moment, the courtroom was more than walls and benches. It was a battlefield. And for once, the innocent had won. But as Mercer looked around at the shaken faces of the system's enforcers, he realized this was just the beginning. Exposing one corrupt officer unveiled a web far larger than anyone had imagined, and the fight for true justice, the kind that serves truth, not convenience, was only starting. Weeks passed, and the ripple effects of Mercer's revelation spread far beyond the courtroom. Detective Lucas Ward faced criminal charges, his carefully constructed career in ruins. An independent investigation into the Sandoria Police Department revealed a culture of intimidation, evidence tampering, and corruption that had long gone unchecked. Ethan Cole stepped out of prison a changed man. The weight of stolen years pressed on him, but there was hope now. He vowed to dedicate his life to helping those trapped by injustice, to be a voice for the wrongfully accused. His story became a symbol, a reminder that resilience and truth can survive even the darkest betrayals. For Judge Mercer, the victory was bittersweet. He had risked everything to uncover the truth, confronting a system he had once trusted implicitly. But he knew this one case was only a single thread in a much larger tapestry of flaws. Justice was not infallible. It required vigilance, courage, and a willingness to face uncomfortable truths. And yet, the story left a profound mark. One man's determination to do what was right, even when it was dangerous, unpopular, and exhausting, had changed lives. It reminded the world that justice is not just a word printed on a bench or a gavel struck in a hall. It is a responsibility, fragile and demanding, resting on the shoulders of those who refuse to look away. Ethan and Mercer never sought recognition. They sought only truth, and in doing so, they left a legacy. That even in a flawed system, courage can carve a path toward justice. Sometimes the fight doesn't end when the verdict is read. It begins there, and it is a fight worth taking. If you've experienced or witnessed the same, share your story in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video so together we can spread the message further.